After Goku sensed that danger was approaching his family, he exploded with rage, and his new transformation manifested. It was not just a form, but a different state of existence. Zalama stepped forward calmly and said, "Well done, Goku. You have surpassed the stage of torment. I will now give you the key for which I pulled your soul into this place." Goku replied seriously, "Give me what you want to give me quickly. My family is in danger. I want to get out of here now." Zalama, do not rush. The curse carries both your body and Vegeta's body together. Both are within a single structure. If you kill the cursed entity, Vegeta will end forever. Goku was confused and asked, "Then what should I do?" Zalama, you have two tasks. First, disable the curse without killing the entity through a spiritual intermediary, a pure, clean bond outside the system of the curse. Second, if you manage to defeat me, I will give you my own body so that you can return to the outside world. Goku asked, "Wait, what do you mean by the intermediary?" Zalama did not answer. He suddenly stepped forward and placed his hand on Goku's chest and suddenly injected energy into him. Goku screamed in pain. His body felt as if it were being torn apart from the inside, and his consciousness shook violently. The energy exploded between them, and the void trembled. After many seconds of intense pain, Goku fell to his knees, writhing in agony. Zalama looked at him and said, "The intermediary, Goku, is your unborn son." "What? How can he be the reason for saving us? He hasn't even been born yet." "Listen to me. The power of the Dragon Balls that I granted you, and which I created with my own hands, transcends the laws of nature. Your body is now inside the curse system and cannot be breached from the outside. But your son's soul is not inside the system at all. It is outside it, pure, unregistered in its laws. It is the only pure soul in existence that has not been tainted by any sin. Your soul is connected to the soul of the fetus and your stolen body. This mixture will be the reason for disabling and collapsing that cursed entity." "Wait, will this harm my son?" "No, the danger is not to him. The danger is to you, because the connection will be through your very essence, and if you fail, you will remain here forever, and the curse will destroy all existence." Goku was shocked. "Then what do I do now? Quickly!" Zalama answered with a swift attack, but at the same moment, Goku countered with an identical strike, fist against fist, power against power. Goku knew this was not a battle for victory. It was a gate of fate. Either he would defeat Zalama and obtain the power and the chance to save his family, or he would fall, and all paths would come to an end. Every blow was a decision, every movement was a choice, and every breath was a sacrifice. He was fighting not to stay alive, but to prevent the end. And on the other side, on that strange planet, Goten was fighting the cursed entity with everything he had left. The place was shaking, the ground cracking, the sky tearing apart, while his friends behind him were helpless and terrified, watching his energy slowly drain away. The fighting stopped for a moment. Goten, in a trembling yet steady voice, "I only want one answer. What do you want? Where is my father? What did you do to him?" The entity smiled a cold, dark smile and said, "Your father? He has become part of me. His body is under my control, and all of this is because of you." Everyone was shocked. It continued in a venomous voice. "You were the ones who made the first mistake, when you feared Goku after he was afflicted by the curse, when you cast him out instead of embracing him, when you thought pushing him away was the solution. You fell into the trap with your own hands." Some began to cry. Shock turned into realization. Guilt became reality. Then its voice changed, as if something deeper was speaking from within it. "I could not control him alone. His heart was pure, but with your help, my influence doubled. And through your mistake, I took control of two bodies, Goku's body and Vegeta's body. A collective gasp. Here, Goten understood the truth. The one before him was not just an entity, it was the curse itself. He clenched his fist, tears in his eyes. Yes, we were wrong. Yes, we were cruel. Yes, we chose badly. But I swear to you, we will atone for everything, no matter the price. He charged forward with everything he had left, but in a single moment, he was stopped with humiliating ease. The entity grabbed him by the arm and said with lethal mockery, "What are you trying to do? Are you trying to strike your own father?" Then it squeezed. The sound of breaking, bone cracking, flesh tearing. Goten's scream tore through the place, his arm bent at an unnatural angle. His friends screamed, but no one moved. Fear paralyzed them, helplessness bound them, terror reduced them to mere witnesses. Goten was in agony, breathing with difficulty, tears in his eyes, but he did not beg for mercy. He did not scream in surrender. He raised his energy with one hand and said in a sharp voice filled with pain and rage, "If our sin is the reason for all of this, then I would rather die trying to erase you than live carrying this guilt forever." A heavy silence fell. Then the response came like a cold stab to the heart. The cursed entity smiled. "Wait. If you kill me, you will never see your father again. Not in this world, not in the other world, not in any existence." Goten froze. His eyes widened, his energy faltered. He hesitated for a moment, and then the entity vanished in a black flash, and a single strike, decisive, crushing, drained everything that remained in Goten's body. He crashed hard to the ground, completely losing his transformation, his energy fading away, and fell to his knees. The entity smiled mockingly and said, "How naive you are. How easy it is to manipulate your hearts. The debts have piled up greatly, and the time of collection has come. A soul for a soul, a life for a life." It raised its hand and aimed it at the collapsed Goten, who struggled to lift his head and whispered, "No, this can't end like this. Impossible." The entity said coldly, "Farewell, Goten, and the most beautiful part, that your father has the honor of contributing to your death." And at the very moment the energy was unleashed, a counter-explosion tore through the space. A powerful beam of energy struck the entity from the side. It was Bulla, standing firm as she shouted, "Get away from him! We will all stand together! We will sacrifice our lives for my father and for the wronged Goku!" In a single moment, everyone raised their hands. Each one remembered their mistake. Each one felt the guilt. Each one chose to atone. The entity laughed mockingly. How pathetic! All at once, one single attack is enough to finish you all. It raised its own hand, dark energy condensing around it like a raging storm, and said with contempt, "Let's see who disappears first, you or what remains of your consciences." And in a single moment, the energies were unleashed from both sides. Everyone screamed. The scream of rage, the scream of regret, the scream of fear, the scream of atonement. A colossal clash, an explosion that shook the planet. Inside the Dragon Balls, Goku could feel his friends. He clenched his fist tightly, his eyes blazing with determination. "I can't wait any longer. I'll pour everything into a single attack." Zalama looked at him deeply, then said, "So you've decided to settle it with one final blow. Remember, Goku, failure now does not mean your loss alone, but the annihilation of everyone." Goku's energy erupted with indescribable resolve, faith, rage, love, fear. In response, Zalama charged his own energy as well. He said in a decisive voice, Do it now, or there will be no path after this moment. In a single instant, the two powers were unleashed. A cosmic collision inside the Dragon Balls, a tremor that tore through the void. Screams of rage, screams of hope, screams of pain. And then, the explosion. A sudden silence. Goku was standing, exhausted but unshaken, while Zalama lay on the ground crushed under the pressure of the overwhelming attack. But suddenly, Goku's eyes widened. He felt another energy, greater, farther, more dangerous. He whispered in shock, "Zeno? What is Zeno doing here? Why is he heading toward the Dragon Balls?" Zalama slowly raised his head. "He wants to make the wish to restore you." Goku froze. "What? But using the Dragon Balls now means the curse will multiply. It will become far greater than it already is." "Yes, Goku, that is the truth I hid from you. I knew Zeno's intention from the beginning. He saw a dream that you were wronged, that you were a victim, while everyone else saw you as a threat. Those were the manipulations of the curse itself, sowing discord. But he does not know that using the Dragon Balls now will feed the curse and turn it into an existential catastrophe." Goku shouted in anger and shock. "Why didn't you tell me this from the beginning?" "Because your focus was more important than the truth. If you had known this at the start, you would have broken. And now you must know the truth of the betrayal, so that I may hand over my body to you." At the same time, outside, Zeno stood before the Dragon Balls. His intent was clear. Zeno raised his hand to awaken the dragon. Suddenly, the silence was split by a sharp voice like a thunderbolt. "Stop, Zeno! Don't do it! This will make everything worse!" Zeno slowly turned, his eyes widening when he saw the priest who had disappeared long ago. The priest stepped forward and said with sincere urgency, "The Dragon Balls are cursed now. If the dragon awakens, an unstoppable curse will be unleashed." Zeno looked at him with contempt and said, "How dare you stop me? Your contract has ended. Your authority is gone. You were supposed to stay away from the affairs of existence. Your wife was expelled because you failed to protect Goku." The priest tried to respond calmly. "Yes, we made mistakes, but you must understand, the curse is what is moving everything now. It is the one that created this discord. It is the one that led these events." Zeno interrupted him angrily. "I won't believe you. I saw in the dream that you wronged Goku, that you were the reason for what happened to him, and now you want me to listen to you?" Zeno's face shifted into restrained fury, and he said sharply, "Guards." In a single instant, the guards surged forward like a storm. Consecutive attacks, flashing energy strikes, and a torrent of savage power swept the place. Intersecting waves of energy struck the priest from every direction. Yet, amid the chaos, the priest arose again, his body bleeding. He stood as a barrier between Zeno and the Dragon Balls and said decisively, "I will stop you, Zeno. I'm sorry, but I will not allow existence to be destroyed any further. You do not understand what will happen." One of the guards shouted angrily, "How dare you!" A lightning-like energy blast was unleashed, devastating, tearing through the air and slamming into the priest with tremendous force. Another guard grabbed him from behind, restraining his body with brute force. Blood flowed from his mouth and face. Zeno ignored him completely, looked at the Dragon Balls with absolute coldness, and said, "Awaken, dragon." A heavy silence fell. Then, the Dragon Balls began to shake violently. Dense lightning wrapped around them. The light intensified. Suddenly, it split in a colossal bolt that struck Zeno directly. A thunderous scream tore through existence, followed by a massive explosion that shook the entire void. After moments of dust and colliding energy, silence fell like death. The priests and the guards' eyes widened as they stared ahead at something terrifying forming in the emptiness. Something that was not a dragon, not light, but a dark, heavy presence, suggesting that what had been summoned was not a wish, but an existential catastrophe. Space fell abruptly silent. Then Goku noticed something unnatural. The stars surrounding them began to disintegrate, one by one. He paused, then whispered with awe laced with fear. Something was born outside, something immense and terrifying. Meanwhile, Zalama was collapsing, affected by the disturbance of the Super Dragon Balls. He said in a weak voice, "Come closer to me, Goku. This is the time to leave."
Goku rushed forward, caught him before he completely fell, and held him in his arms. He said in a broken voice, "The first mistake I ever made in my life was that I trusted. I trusted and believed, and betrayal followed. But your heart is pure. The purity of your soul is the only thing that allows me to trust again. That is why I will hand over my body to you of my own will." His voice trembled slightly. Then he said firmly, "The pure power of the Dragon Balls is the only way to fight this curse. Anything else is merely a waste of time, just a postponement of a greater catastrophe." Goku clenched his fist and said anxiously, "Wait, what about the betrayal? What betrayal do you mean? And why didn't you try to leave this place from the beginning?" Zalama closed his eyes, as if memories weighed heavily on his soul. "As I told you before, every wish has a price. I entered this place to absorb the negative energy produced by wishes. I endured the torment, temporarily, just to find a solution. But the Supreme Queen feared for her children. She was afraid they would pay the price instead of her, so she made a wish behind my back, that I be sealed here absolutely." Goku's eyes widened. "The Supreme Queen? Do you mean the mother of the angels who trained Vegeta?" Zalama nodded slowly. "Yes. On the surface, she does not appear evil, and I understand her motives. Perhaps she did not intend betrayal in its direct sense, but her decision to imprison me here is what gave birth to the curse. Wishes continued to be granted generation after generation without awareness of their consequences and without a real solution." Anger flared in Goku's eyes. "Damn it! So she was a major cause of everything happening now? Do not let this make you lose focus. You will return to life in my body. Your soul will preserve your traits, your identity. But promise me one thing. Promise me that you will restore balance to this existence." A heavy silence fell. Anger was boiling inside Goku. "I swear that I will restore stability to everyone, and even if I take your body, I will find a way to bring you back as well, and I will avenge you." Zalama smiled faintly, a smile filled with both pain and reassurance, and said, "Focus now, Goku. The intermediary we spoke of, you must awaken him. He is the key to the next phase. Sense him, his heartbeat, and my power will complete the rest." Goku closed his eyes. Zalama also closed his eyes and placed his hand on Goku's chest. The energy began to transfer, drop by drop, a body being surrendered, a soul merging, and a destiny being reshaped. Outside, all the friends collapsed onto the ground after a battle that had drained the very last remnants of strength from their bodies. Ragged breaths, eyes open in helplessness, bodies covered in dust and destruction. There was no one left among them who could stand or even think of fighting. The cursed entity advanced with slow steps, then said, "Everything is over. There is no meaning in continuing. I will end you all at once and erase this planet along with you." He slowly raised his hand, and energy began to gather around his palm like a dark cyclone, and everyone felt that the end was now only moments away. Suddenly, the light did not come from the sky nor from the earth, but from Chi-Chi herself. Her body began to radiate a strange golden glow. The light first emerged faintly from her abdomen,
then grew stronger before erupting into a wave of light that swept across the entire area. The entity stopped abruptly, and in a shocking instant, the child appeared in Chi-Chi's arms, surrounded by an aura of pure light, as if the universe itself were wrapping around him and protecting him. Everyone was stunned. Bulma whispered in disbelief. "Impossible! How was he born now?" Piccolo said in a low voice. "This isn't natural. This is something else." Only seconds passed before the entity let out a scream of genuine pain. The energy it had gathered exploded chaotically, and the sphere on its forehead began to crack, then collapse, as if burning from the inside. It screamed in madness. At that same moment, the child alone rose into the sky, surrounded by a massive halo of light. The entire climate changed. Darkness shattered. The air became light, as if the universe itself were breathing again, and light spread everywhere. Suddenly, without explanation, everyone regained their strength, not through battle energy or charging power, but as if life itself had returned to them. They stood in stunned silence, staring at the sky. Then came the greatest shock. The entity vanished completely without a trace, and in its place appeared two bodies lying on the ground, Goku's body and Vegeta's body, motionless and unconscious. Shock struck their hearts like a thunderbolt. What is this? Goku sacrificed his life, so why is he here then? Another muttered, Vegeta finally appeared? But where did the enemy go? All of them were confused. Meanwhile, Goten stood as if frozen by shock and said, "There is something connected to what is happening now, far away from us." Everything that happened was because Goku succeeded in reaching the point of connection between himself, his son, and his stolen body. Immediately after that, Zalama began to fade away, surrendering everything he had to Goku. Tears filled Goku's eyes, but he clenched his fist with determination and said, "Thank you, Zalama, for your body, for your trust, and for your sacrifice. I promise you this will not be in vain. I will do the impossible for your sake. I will restore balance, and I will end this curse, even if I have to face all of existence alone." In the depths of space, the catastrophe everyone feared came to pass. Zeno appeared, but not in the form the universe had known before. He manifested in a new, terrifying form, his eyes empty of any innocence. He spoke in a strange voice. "Existence has allowed what should not exist. Now, correction will begin." The priest immediately understood the gravity of the situation and realized that the being before him was no longer the Zeno he knew. He turned and fled at tremendous speed without uttering a single word. Zeno did not speak. He merely raised his finger slowly, and in a simple yet horrifying motion, unleashed a devastating beam aimed directly at the priest. It pierced space, as if it obeyed no laws of speed or distance. The priest tried to evade and maneuver, but the attack was faster than perception itself. It struck him directly, causing a massive explosion that shook space, an explosion that was not merely energy, but a tearing of reality itself. The guards panicked and shouted, "Lord Zeno, what did you do? Are you all right? What is happening to you?" He did not respond. He only said in a cold voice devoid of any emotion, "Weakness is removed, doubt is erased, and balance is not forged through mercy." Then he raised both hands and without hesitation or compassion launched a lethal attack directly at his guards. The energy pierced their bodies. They screamed at the top of their lungs in pain, screams that shook the heart before the place itself. Then their bodies vanished completely. No trace remained. Zeno stood alone in the void. All existence will be held to account. Everything will be returned to zero. But there is one thing resisting this power. There is a point of anomaly. Its source is there. On the planet, the friends were still stunned, their eyes fixed on the child floating in the air, surrounded by a pure light unlike any energy they had ever known before. Only seconds passed, and Zeno appeared in his terrifying form, filling the sky with his heavy aura. Everyone panicked, and questions erupted. Who is that? Is that really Zeno? Why has his form changed? What brought him here? In a dreadful silence, Zeno cast his gaze downward, looked at Goku's body, and gave it no attention at all, as if it were nothing worth noticing. Then he slowly lifted his eyes toward the child suspended in the air, the light that nullified the curse. He raised his hand and said in a decisive voice that allowed no argument, "This entity must not continue to exist. Its existence is a mistake, and it will be erased from existence." He unleashed a colossal attack that covered the entire sky, that surged directly toward the child.
And at the moment when it seemed that everything was over, the hero finally appeared, the one who had been planning in the shadows, Goku. He appeared with a different power, surrounded by a calm yet profound aura with a striking presence. He embraced the child with his entire body, forming a shield with himself, holding his son tightly to his chest. He felt a strange warmth flowing through his veins. Not the warmth of energy, but the warmth of life. The warmth of a birth that came at the wrong time, yet arrived at the exact moment when the entire universe was on the verge of collapse. He looked at his little son for a long time and said in a soft voice filled with deep meaning, "You came into this world in an age of darkness, not as an ordinary child, but as mercy, as an answer to the sins of this universe, as a light born from the heart of pain. You did not choose your time, but your time chose you, and your existence saved everyone without you even knowing the meaning of salvation." He slowly raised his head and looked at his friends. They were all stunned, mouths open, eyes unable to believe what they were seeing. Goku stepped forward with steady, confident steps, approached everyone until he stood among them, the child in his arms. His granddaughter stepped forward first with hesitation, then Goten, then Chi-Chi, and questions poured out almost in one voice. "Is it really you, Goku? How did you come back? What happened?" Goku smiled a warm smile and said calmly, "A lot happened. Things greater than you can imagine. Even I couldn't believe what I saw. The body you see on the ground is my original body, but it is now just a body without a soul. I regained my existence in another body. I met a wise being who granted me the pure power of the Dragon Balls, a power unlike any energy we have ever known. And now this child is not just a newborn, he is the key. He is the intermediary, the bridge and the purity that was born to break this curse from its roots." He looked directly at Goten and said in a voice carrying the meaning of a father before that of a warrior, "My son, this battle did not come to take everything from us, but to remind us of what we must protect. You fought to atone, and I will fight to end it. But this new brother of yours will live to see a world without a curse. This is my promise to you." Before the moment could be completed, a sharp, cold voice cut through the air like a blade. "Your existence disrupts the system. Your energy corrupts the balance, and this child is a flaw in the cosmic equation. The beginning will be with you."
Goku slowly lifted his gaze toward him, and inside himself he said in a voice no one could hear, "Zeno, the hardest thing I will face is not your power, but the curse that dwells in this entire universe. But no matter the cost, I will end this curse. I will protect my son, and I will tear out the roots of this evil from its foundation, especially the mother of the angels." In the depths of the royal palace, where silence was heavier than the walls themselves, the priest arrived staggering, his body barely able to support him. Only heavy seconds passed before the sound of calm footsteps echoed through the long corridor. His wife appeared, her features unmoved. The priest looked at her with exhausted eyes, thinking for a moment that she had come to save him. But her gaze was different. The gaze of a judge, not a wife. The gaze of a verdict, not love. No, you no longer deserve to remain. Your existence has become a danger to the system. I must eliminate you now, before you corrupt everything. She slowly extended her hand, and on her finger was a strange ring, the eternal seal. She cast the seal upon him while he was in his weakest state, without defense, without the ability to resist. He let out a single scream, a long scream, and then he vanished. No trace remained, no body, no energy, no soul. And here, the question freezes in the air. What is this queen's true intention? And what awaits Goku, his child, and the entire world before a power moving behind the curtain?